Hello, my name is Robert Ellis and I work for the Community Action Partnership in San Luis Obispo, California. I am a certified National Master Roma trainer and I'm going to help you and let you know as a board member how you can help your agency incorporate Roma strategies and make your agency a more effective, efficient, and productive agency serving our populations. I'm not sure how many of you out there have heard of the term Roma, but Roma is a system that all community action agencies have to use to make their agencies run more effectively and more efficiently. ROMA stands for Results-Oriented Management and Accountability. And it is a system that helps us to look at our agency and look how we produce results and how we manage how we produce those results and how we are held accountable for those results. ROMA has been with us for a number of years, and it is a system, not really a reporting system, but a total process of how we can use our strategies through ROMA to be more effective in what we do. So ROMA, like I said, is a complete management and accountability system. When we think about the management, ROMA has built in place strategies and a cycle that we go through to help us manage our programs and, more importantly, help us manage our agency on a whole basis. The accountability piece, which is so important in today's climate, ROMA allows us to be more accountable for the results that we achieve and the results that we project we're going to achieve. This is a cycle that ROMA uses and that we all should use when we think about ROMA. It is a continuous cycle that actually has a beginning but really has no end. And if you look at the cycle closely, you can see that what we first do, and many of you already know, that we do a community needs assessment, and that's at the top of the cycle. When we do this needs assessment, we are collecting data about what are the problems in our community, what are some of the needs that our community has. And when we look at the assessment, we also have to look at what are the resources that are there that may be able to address those needs. Are there other resources out there that can help with the needs? Do we need to collaborate with another entity that may be able to address those needs? So it is a very in-depth, deep assessment of the need in our community. It's like going to the doctor out there and saying, where does it hurt? You know, how can we help? Where does it hurt? Once we do that assessment, what we want to look at is planning. And when we plan to address those needs, we have to be very careful about staying within our mission statement and looking at the needs and asking ourselves, do we have the capacity to address that need? If we decide we have the capacity, we prioritize those needs based on our mission statement. And in this planning process, a lot of times the first thing that's asked is, what can we do? When really what you need to ask is, what do we want to have changed? Change and results is the foundation of community action. And if you look at what you want changed in the community, after you've decided that, then you could build a strategy or an activity to enact that change. When you have built this plan and you have a strategy or a program or an activity that you're going to put in place, then comes the implementation phase. And during this implementation phase, you're going to actually conduct your activity or run your program to address that need that's in that community. Now, over the course of time, you're going to be collecting data and you're going to hopefully achieve the results. And that's the next step, is when you move through, and you may have certain time periods through this program, through this activity, you want to look at your results. And you're going to project initially how many will achieve this particular need, how many will achieve in this program. You'll look at those results and you'll compare it to what you projected will be achieved. And then when you have all this data collected, the results, you know, how many you projected compared to what you actually achieved, you're going to analyze this data, and that's in the evaluation phase. And that is, this particular part of the cycle is very, very important, because this is where you can really dig deep and move beyond just looking at how you serve the conditions in poverty, but maybe how what you did served or a need to the causes of the poverty. Because as community action agencies, We need to really dig deep into the causes of poverty so we can change those conditions, so those causes, or make a difference with those causes. And that will help us to move past the conditions. Then, when all this is done, you're going to reassess. You're going to be at the top of that cycle again. And you're going to look at the whole picture, what you did, how you planned it, what data did you collect to govern your decisions, and you're going to reassess. And then you're going to plan again. And if it's an ongoing program, you want to do this on a regular basis. As we all know, every 2 years, we're mandated to do a community needs assessment and write our community action plan. And using this particular ROMA cycle will help you be more effective in your data collection, will help you be more effective in your planning and implementation of your programs, will help you be more effective in analyzing and evaluating your results. In 2016, the Community Action Organizational Standards became a part of this professional management framework presented by OCS. There's been a little bit of shift of what we are going to be looking at. We used to have 6 national goals. We are going to have 3 national goals now. And it focuses more on what community action really is, because what is in the name of community action? Community. And we're really going to be focusing on how we can make changes and improve lives and improve our communities. We're not going to forget about individuals and families, but we are going to broaden our base and look at communities and how we can improve in communities. The ROMA principles are embedded in the organizational standards. And these organizational standards are really, the board members really have a lot of stake in these organizational standards. There's a lot of them in there that are really directed towards you as the board members to enact this change. A brief introduction of why. I'm going to give a little bit of a history, but not so much. I don't want to get into the weeds of the history. I really want to talk about why we use ROMA. ROMA is, like I said, a results orientation and a focus on the performance management climate. Today's world and the scarcity of funds, it's really important that we talk about our performance and how we've achieved those results and how we tell that story. So when we look at community action agencies, sometimes we think of them just as providing services. But as services are very important, it's the results of those services that is the key factor here. Community actions help people. We are about changing lives. We are about helping communities become better places to live. We are really unique. There is no other organization in the nation that really addresses poverty the way we do. And that has given it a voice at the local level, which is key to understanding what is needed and where people are suffering. So when we think about being service providers, we're really change agents is what we are. We really look at changing and transitioning people to self-sufficiency, stability, and helping them move out of poverty. So when we think about community action, a lot of times we think about the services that we perform. How many food baskets did we distribute? How many Meals on Wheels were served? How many homeless people did we shelter that night? How many Head Start children do we have sitting in the seats? And these are important because this gets us to our end result. But when we talk about our story and we really want to tell people what community action does, they want to hear the results of what happens. Like I said, while the services are important, it's those results that are paramount in telling our story. What has changed because of the interventions, programs, or activities that we've done? I'm going to give you a little analogy here, and I'm going to talk about baseball. And baseball, there's a case study that we looked at as ROMA trainers. Let's take a baseball team. For example, they're not doing too well. So they want to do some things that's going to increase their productivity and give a positive outcome to the results in playing baseball. So what they've done is during spring training, they're having pitchers take a lot more pitches during their practice. They're having batters swing a lot more times and taking more batting practice. They've hired coaches to extra coaches, to have more staff on hand to look at the team. They've even invested $100,000 in this state-of-the-art technology so the coaches can sit in the stands and talk in real time to their players about what's happening. So these are a lot of different activities to help them achieve the results. The fans are saying, so what? Why? I don't understand all the activities. I get it that you're taking more swings and you're taking more batting practice and you're hiring coaches, and I don't even mind the fact that you spent $100,000 on all that techie stuff for your team. But what's changed because of what you've done? The fans, they don't care about the process. And the activities is really the process. But they don't care about it. What they care about is the winning. What they care about is the results. And that's what ROMA is about, results-oriented. So as a board member, you're really sort of playing a ball game here because you could be considered as the owner and general manager of the team, where your CEO, your ED is the manager. And then your funders, the community, your staff, all the stakeholders, the people you serve, those are the fans. Those are the ones who are going to be looking at the agency and not really thinking about the activities and how many swings that you've taken, but they're going to wonder how many games that you've won. So again, community action agencies, we're about changing lives and improving communities. And how we can change lives and improve communities is by scoring runs and winning games. If we tell our community how many times we've been up to bat, what's that going to tell them? I sort of equate this to planting a garden. So when you plant a garden, there's some activities you have to have done or you have to do before you see any results. You have to till the soil, you have to fertilize the soil, you're going to plant the seeds, you're going to water the soil, you're going to weed it and take care of it. But at the end, it's not the tilling and it's not the fertilizing, it's not the planting that's important. It's the crop at the end. It's the salad you may put on your dinner table at the end of the day. That's what's important, and that's what stakeholders want to see. So, just like the baseball team, or just like planting your garden, you have to hit the ball, and you have to plant the seed, you have to cultivate, and you have to do these activities. But the end result is how you win. What's the result? Did we change people's lives? Are we delivering our services effectively? Are we delivering them compassionately? And are we delivering them intelligently? Documenting the achievement of these results is what's really crucial. And this is where you're, in that ROMA cycle, you're going to be evaluating what you've done, and you're going to be documenting what you've done. And this is where it's going to help us to tell our story about the lives we've changed and the communities that we've improved. So how will lives be changed? How can communities be improved? It's important that your agency and your staff and your board understand that the community needs and resources, and they need to understand those. They need to understand the mission of your agency, because you want to stay inside your mission. You don't want any mission drift when you're deciding upon what you're going to do. And they have to focus on the results that's going to be achieved because of your activities. So before you decide on any services or strategies that you're going to support, you have to understand what's the end product. What are we going to want to have changed? A lot of agencies go out there and they see a big pot of money and they say, man, let's go for that. Let's get the money and then let's figure out what we're going to do with it. That's not really a good way to go about it. What happens is there could be mission drift, you're not staying within your mission, and does that money really address a need that's in your community? So how do CEAs know what services to provide? They, of course, are going to review their mission statement. They're going to get input from their clients. This is where we talk about maximum feasible participation. You're going to be talking to the community. You're going to be talking to your participants or your clients. You're going to be talking to all your stakeholders. And I must emphasize that stakeholders are your participants, the community, local officials, stakeholders, your staff, your funders, and your partners. So you need to get as much information that you can from the community to understand how you're going to, well, first of all, what you're going to want to have changed, and then how you're going to enact that change. It's not a magic formula. You really have to put some work into it. You just can't say, you know, we got the grant, okay, we need a little more detail on our plan, so man, just abracadabra, let's just go do it. It's not the way it works. You have to do your due diligence, and you have to dig deep into the needs, the causes, and what you can do about it. So considering the kinds of services that your agency will provide, you know, are they going to be short-term services? It could be. It could be a short-term emergency type service that addresses that need in the immediate term. But by getting solid, in-depth data about the causes of what's happening out there, not just the conditions, you may look at a longer-term process to address the cause. Because when we look at our community, we tend to look at the conditions. You know, we know that condition of poverty is homelessness. But what is the cause? The condition is the homelessness, but what is that cause? And what you're going to need to do is really ask yourself, what can we do about the cause? And what do we want changed because of that cause? Part of this whole planning process is identifying realistic results. When you go to plan for a program, you need to think realistically, what do we want changed? We can't house everybody that's homeless on the streets, but we can make a significant difference if we really think about it strategically and we be realistic about what we want to have happen. So as a CEA board member, you are the owner of the team. You're going to take that leadership role in making those decisions about what results is expected from your agency. And when you identify those results that are expected, you're going to estimate how many people are actually going to achieve those results. And this is a key part of our story, is the realistic expectation of our achievement. This is, you know, basically the rate of success. If we talk about housing, you know, every homeless person on the street, is that really an achievable, realistic goal? If we say that and we come way short, how can we tell them that that's a rate of success? How can we explain that to them? So being realistic about what you're going to achieve based on the needs is really key. We're going to be tracking how many people's lives we've changed and how many communities we've improved. And by this tracking is how we're going to tell our story of our success and what the rate of success we should expect. Going back to the baseball team, when you consider, you know, a superstar baseball player is only successful 30% of the time. He gets up, and if he's batting .300, he's probably going to be on the all-star team, and he's probably going to be making a lot of money because he's successful 30% of the time. But what baseball has done is that they've communicated to the public that 30% is successful. That 30% is our rate of success. That's how we determine that we are being successful. And they've documented this over 100 years. And as community action agencies, this is sort of a strategy that we need to take to explain to the public and to our funders and to decision makers that 30% is a good success rate. And that's what we're achieving to. We've projected that we're going to get 30% of the people off the street. And we've reached that, or we've come very close to that. So that's very powerful to tell your story in that way. So again, what baseball has done, they've clearly identified or defined the performance results or performance indicator, which is hitting the ball and getting on base, and they've related that to an outcome, which is winning. They've observed this performance and they've kept records. This is that documentation I talk about. They've analyzed this data, which is so crucial when you're in your programs, is analyzing that data. What's it telling you? Is it telling you that you're doing okay? And they develop benchmarks of excellence based on that analysis. And then finally they've publicized what they've learned, and they've said over and over and over again that 30% is a successful rate. So what we have to keep in mind is that we're not expected to hit the ball every time we're up at bat. But we need to eventually win games. And that is, helping families achieve stability or self-sufficiency and helping communities improve. And that's going to show to the fans that we're worthy of their support. CEAs, they collect the data and they analyze this data over time. And this is crucial to our cause, collecting this data and analyzing it in depth over time. While we have to document the evidence and support our projections of the kind of results that we expect on families and communities, it's how we report that results and how we tell that story based on that analysis that's so important. We'll document the movement of families from poverty to self-sufficiency, and we'll document the positive changes in the communities that we improve. So performance and analysis of results. You're going to document those results, you're going to send it to the state, and they're going to, of course, send it on to the federal government. But it's going to be comparing your actual performance to what you projected. And this is where they can evaluate both, or you can evaluate your agency in the ability to project what you're going to achieve and then compare it to your actual performance results. And as a board member, it's really incumbent upon you to review your agency's data before it's submitted to the state. So the data is rich and is telling the right story. Community action leaders need to work together to ensure the network is strong. And the overall health of community action is dependent upon a lot of things, but it's more than just technical compliance. And we know that the report is really technical and that's part of the compliance piece. But we need to understand that for a community action agency to be truly healthy, they need to analyze themselves, they need to continually strive to find better ways to serve people, they need to look to continuous improvement and continuous growth. As we know, needs in a community, they don't remain static. So only through reassessment and constantly looking for continuous growth and continuous improvement can we stay abreast of those needs that are constantly changing. So the focus on accountability, you know in today's climate that accountability is critical. As a community action agency, we need to be held accountable for what we do. We are using federal tax dollars to implement a lot of our programs. So we need to establish measures and indicators that helps us to be accountable for what we do. In 2004, the National Performance Indicators, we had a standard of indicators of success that we reported on annually. And these included sets of descriptions of how things have changed in our community and how we've changed people's lives. Now with the new indicators that are coming out, they're very, very similar, and they're also going to talk about the change, the positive change in people's lives. The annual report, although it is new, you must remember that you don't have to report on all of the indicators. You're only going to report on those indicators of the programs that you're actually implementing. And you will have opportunities to report on areas that aren't included in indicators, where you feel as an agency you're making a difference in people's lives, but it's not really being captured. You'll have an opportunity in this annual report to do that. Some of the data collection and processes and systems may need to be revised a little bit to assure maximum accountability, but the network will keep you appraised and keep you in the loop of what you need to do and offer technical assistance to achieve that. So what do you measure? We know we measure services, but how do your services for your agency help move people and families to self-sufficiency, and how does it help improve communities? How does getting food baskets and Meals on Wheels and WIC help strengthen vulnerable populations? These are rhetorical questions, but they're questions that you will need to ask as a board member. How is Head Start helping families, and how does it impact families? How does helping getting a GED improve job skills or an impact of the family and self-sufficiency? These are questions that you ask as you're looking at your data and you're analyzing your data and you're looking at how do we change not just the conditions, but how do we affect the causes of poverty by the services that we provided. Again, your advocacy activities are very important, and as board members, it's encouraged you to advocate for our cause, in which your agency and your staff and your volunteers and you and board members, you engage to help move families out of poverty and help improve communities. And part of your job as a board member is to do this. And looking at your data and your programs and using the ROMA Cycle and the ROMA strategies can help you to advocate in a more effective way, in a more efficient way. And having partnerships is so key to the work that we do. But how do we tell the story of our partnerships? It's not how many partnerships that we have, it's how strong those partnerships are, and how do those partnerships change people's lives? How do those partnerships engage into the community and improve the communities? When we look at communities and we look at just serving people's lives, we can improve a family's life. We can move people out of self-sufficiency. But if we don't also improve conditions in the community, what are those people going to fall back on? How are those people going to sustain what they've achieved? So how do you know that you're meeting your goals and you're producing results? You're going to need to have good measurement tools, and you're going to have a way of trying to see how those results and processes enable you to observe and document those indicators. When you build a program, you're going to have goals. You're going to, like I said, you're going to have objectives or your results. And I would suggest that you use what a term called SMART goals, which is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound goals. And these will help you to build goals so you can really look and see how you're at your success and how you're measuring. And it's a good measurement tool to use as you're moving along. As a board member, you're going to help your staff identify these measures. You're going to help identify the processes, and you're going to help them hit a home run and ultimately win a game. Some key points to remember. The public perception of human services is sometimes not all that positive. By telling our story with a rich human aspect to it, but also it's very valid and verifiable and rich in data, not just the quality of data, but the quantity of data and the depth of the data. This is going to help to change that perception. Again, like I said, community actions are unique in the nation in addressing the conditions of poverty and the causes of poverty. There's really no other organization that does it the way we do. Documenting the success will win public support and improve this public image. Like I said, the individual human interest story is so crucial to what we do, and telling your funders and decision makers about this and relaying those crucial human interest stories is vital. And then nothing is as powerful as the documentation of the lives that we've changed and improved and the communities that we've improved by being a community action agency. It's just a little history, a little information and education on ROMA and what ROMA can do for your agency. So now my question to you after this is, what will you do in your agency to help ROMA take hold and be used in an effective and efficient way so we can change people's lives and we can improve communities? So remember, as a board member or the manager of the team of a community action agency, you have a very important role in implementing ROMA in your agency and lifting people out of poverty, changing lives, and helping communities improve.